the topic we're going to talk about today is how to turn your current home into a dream home. So who here has a vision board? A vision board. Who has a vision board or has ever had a vision board?
Sure.
Or do you know anybody who has a vision board? And what's the first thing that people put on their vision board? A beautiful home. How big is it? Is it a little cottage? No, it's usually a mansion, right? It's a mansion or a luxury home. So I want to help you think today differently about the home you already live in, so that you don't think that something really fantastic has to happen for you to be able to live in a dream home, that you can do it in a few months. So my name is Moni Castaneda, and I'm a Feng Shui consultant, author, and speaker. And my commitment to you is that you are never going to be asked to spend any significant amount of time with me that you don't learn something that has the potential to transform your life for the better. I know the text on the slides is small, so don't try to read it. I will convey to you the information. Okay, so I was born in Quito, Ecuador, which is a small country in South America, and I have lived in the United States. It's going to be 30 years this year, next month. So I have been practicing Feng Shui for over 25 years, and I created my own method of Feng Shui called the 9 Steps to Feng Shui system, and I train people to become Feng Shui consultants. My websites, blog, and my YouTube channel have gotten over 1 million views, and they have been rated, my blog has been rated top 9 for all the world on Feng Shui. My YouTube channel has been rated top 10 for all the world in Feng Shui. And my Feng Shui consultant training has been rated 4 for all the world Feng Shui courses.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow.
And so, why am I so popular? I am popular because I take the confusion out of Feng Shui. And if you ever try to do Feng Shui on your own and you stop, it's probably because you got confused, right? Mm. So these are the books I have written on Feng Shui. I brought my latest book is The House of Many Gardens, and today one of you is going to take it home because we're going to give it away as a door prize. I put all my books on a scale the other day. It was 12 and a half pounds. I have written 12 and a half pounds of Feng Shui content. So we have Feng Shui your own home, Feng Shui your own yard, declutter your own spaces, Feng Shui your own life areas, charts, the Feng Shui for Homes Encyclopedia, Feng Shui your own business in 3 volumes, and what you see at the bottom, those are books on Feng Shui cures, vibrational cures that I created with a vibrational healer, Velocity. So what is Feng Shui? Feng Shui is the ancient East Asian art of placement that teaches you what to put where so you can be happy, healthy, and successful. So in other words, it teaches you how to arrange your home so that you can be more relaxed, get along with others better, and be more productive. Feng Shui is actually one of the branches of ancient East Asian healing, along with acupuncture, qigong, herbalism, and massage. So there's 5 branches of ancient East Asian healing, and Feng Shui is one of the branches. For those of you that have gotten into Feng Shui before or read a book on Feng Shui, did you know this? Did anybody else tell you this? No, right? So I was telling you, I'm originally from Quito, Ecuador. By the name Ecuador, you can guess that's on the equator. So I was born, the hospital where I was born was 20 minutes away from the exact equator, where you can put one foot on the northern hemisphere and the other foot in the southern hemisphere. When you're on the equator, magnetism works different. And I also was over 9,000 feet above sea level because we have the equator, but we also have the Andes Mountains, which are really, really high, right? So I grew up in this city that had constant fall-like weather. It wasn't always hot because of the altitude. And so when I went to school, my science books were not in accordance to my reality. So for example, I was reading a book on science and said there were 4 seasons. There were none. They said that deciduous trees lose their leaves. Trees never lost all their leaves. You had all these experiments. You know, remember those experiments that you would get a bean You would put it in water with toothpicks,
Mhm.
and then you would get the roots coming out.
Yeah.
Never happened. It was too cold for that. Boxes for instructions on the side of pasta, for example, the instructions to cook pasta, they didn't work. Rice, all sorts of things you had to create your own recipes. Families had their own recipes. Now, to give you an idea, Boulder, Colorado is 5,400 feet above sea level. This was over 9,000 feet above sea level. And even in Colorado, I have been told, boxes for food preparation, they have two sets of instructions, sea level and high altitude. And so I was very skeptical as a child because the thing that you were supposed to trust the most, science books, was not true for me. Everything was different. Magnetism also was different, because you're on the equator. When you are in the northern hemisphere, the water goes down counterclockwise. And when you're in the southern hemisphere, it goes clockwise. So what do you think water does in Ecuador when it goes down the drain?
Straight.
It's completely chaotic.
Yeah.
Chaotic. So I was really surprised to learn that water, when it goes down the drain, actually follows the pattern. That was really surprising to me. But you can also, this chaos, you can take your finger and make it go clockwise, or you can make it go counterclockwise. And there's a lot of experiments they do, So this skepticism worked really well for me when I found Feng Shui, because I never took anything at face value. I'm like, okay, you say this works. I'm going to find out if it really works. That's my grandmother when she was 84. She got to be 95. And Ecuador, when I was a child, was a visiting culture. People didn't meet at restaurants or cafes. People visited each other in their homes. And my grandmother took me with her since before I have memory. My first memories are of going with my grandmother to tea or lunch at the places of other people. And she took me to all sorts of different homes. So sometimes it would be the home of a general that was super rich. Other times it would be the home of a woman that used to be her maid, and the floors of her home were made of dirt, black dirt. And every time after we left the home, my grandmother would make comments on what we saw. And she would always point out, and she would say, did you see how beautiful the plants were? Did you notice the light fixture, how well it went with everything else? And she would also point out the mistakes. For some reason, one that always stayed with me was this family. They had a coffee table, and they had a very geometric pattern, very 70s, 60s, 70s kind of pattern on their coffee table. And they had curtains with a floral pattern. And I remember her telling me, did you see what they did and how those two things compete? And how having them close together doesn't let any of the patterns show itself. And I was like maybe 3, right? I remember these things. Mm-hmm. And so I started noticing space all the time. And after we left the home and my grandmother would tell me these things, then she would make a declaration whether the people knew how to live or didn't know how to live. And I knew if she said these people didn't know how to live, we would never go back. And this idea that just because you're alive, you don't know how to live, is super, super important in Feng Shui. So I have a background in architecture. I studied architecture in Ecuador, which was over 6 years. And then I married in 1994, and in 1995, I came to the United States, to Mississippi, to meet my husband, Marco, right? And so I started contacting architects in the area, and I went in for my first interview. And they told me, we just invited you in because we thought your resume was so fascinating, but the truth is we cannot hire you. And that's when I learned that because there's no agreements between Ecuador and the United States, my degree was worth 0 in the United States. So you can imagine, after you put so many years into doing something, it was a grueling profession. For 6 years, on average, I slept 4 to 5 hours a night. And there were many sleepless nights and so much work. And so you have done this, and now this is taken away from you, right? And so a friend of mine said, why don't you look into Feng Shui, because it's similar to what you do, and that wouldn't require you to go back to school, because I would have had to go back to school for 4 or 5 years to get my certification as an architect here. So in the United States, it's 5 years or 6 years, the profession, and they would allow me my 6.5 years of studying would count for 1 year here. They would let me skip 1 year. And I was so tired going to school, I didn't want to go to school anymore. And so I became interested in Feng Shui. As we shared before, my first book on Feng Shui was a door prize. As soon as I started studying Feng Shui, I was like, why didn't they teach me these things in my first year when I was studying architecture? Because it would have saved me so many arguments with my teachers because I wanted to do things and they would tell me, no, you cannot do that. And I would ask, but why? And they'd say, because that's not how you do it. But in my Feng Shui books, I found out the answer of why you don't do it. And I saw that it would have helped me be a better architect if I had been exposed to even just basic Feng Shui. But then was also the factor of things having been lost in translation. Because this was my beef, right? Because I'm an architect, I wanted things to look good. But the people I met who told me, oh, I have my home completely Feng Shui, do you want to come and see? When I walked into those spaces, my reaction wasn't like, wow, or, this feels so warm and cozy. My reaction was like, huh? What are you trying to do here? And why do you have, all these trinkets that you would see in a Chinese restaurant that have nothing to do with your cottage style or your decorating style of any kind, right? So somebody may have a log cabin, somebody might have a craftsman style house, somebody might have like a minimalistic decoration, and then all of a sudden a three-legged frog and a piece of jade and something red hanging from the ceiling, right? And so when I went and looked at the spaces that were created with traditional Feng Shui in China, Taiwan, Korea, or Japan, they were just fantastic. They were gorgeous in their style, right? But they were beautiful. And when Feng Shui was being brought to the West, they didn't produce the same results. And that bothered me to no end because of my training, right? So when I first started studying Feng Shui, my first instinct was I need to find somebody to teach me. And the two schools of Feng Shui that are most popular in the United States are Compass School Feng Shui and Black Hat School Feng Shui. Somebody mentioned Black Hat before, right? So I wanted to find a mentor. I wanted to find somebody to teach me, somebody to answer all these questions that I had. And so first, let me tell you how Feng Shui arrived in the West. Feng Shui arrived in the UK in the 1970s, and it was brought by British CEOs who had been sent to Hong Kong for a few years to work there, and they saw the results of Feng Shui. When they came back to the UK, they brought the Feng Shui masters with them. And that was mostly Compass School Feng Shui. Now, in the 1980s, in the United States, we got Feng Shui on the West Coast, and it was brought by CEOs that had gone to work in Taiwan. And then when they came back to the United States, they brought the students who was the leader of the Black Hat School of Feng Shui to the West Coast. That's how Feng Shui. CEOs are the people who brought Feng Shui to the United States because they saw how effective it was. So we have these two most popular, most important schools. Compass, astrology, and numerology are the basis of Compass School Feng Shui. And you probably have seen the compass, right? It has a compass in the middle, and then it has the concentric rings. And the Black Hat School, the full name is Black Sect Buddhist Tantric School of Feng Shui. And so the first one, compass, astrology, and numerology. I don't have anything against astrology and numerology. I think they're fascinating, but I don't think astrology can tell me what color I should paint my bedroom. I don't think astrology should tell me what color the front of my house should be. That should be up to me, my taste, the taste of my husband, the style of the house, right? And what's already there, how the house was built. And then Black Sect Buddhist Tantric School is a religion, and they have a grandmaster. And so I had some issue with that. And I'm going to show you the basic difference between the two schools. Here we have a floor plan, right? So here's the entrance door, the family room, bedrooms, bathrooms, dining room in the middle, the kitchen, and the master bedroom. So when you do compass school feng shui, oh, no, let me tell you about the Bagua map. The Bagua map is a chart where you place the life areas. So you line up the bottom of the Bagua map with the bottom of the floor plan in the one system. In the other system, they do it by the compass directions. But let's go over the life areas, right? So you have wisdom, self-knowledge, and rest, career, life, mission, and individuality, helpful people, spiritual life, and travel, health, family, and community, the center of good fortune and gratitude, children, creativity, and fun, wealth, prosperity, and self-worth, fame, reputation, and social life, and marriage, relationships, and partnership. Those are the life areas. So what you do in Feng Shui is that you assign each of these life areas to a sector of your home. And what happens in that sector of your home is uncannily related to what's happening in your life. So, for example, you might say, ever since I moved into this home, my wealth stagnated. I'm just not doing well with my wealth. And it may be that in the corner for wealth of that home, there's a bathroom. So you feel like your finances are going down the toilet and you have a toilet in the wealth corner. So in Compass School, to apply the Bagua map, they just use the compass. And they say we put fame to the south, career to the north, health to the east, children to the west, and so forth. Children, creativity, and fun, right? And so in a Black Hat School Feng Shui, they line up the bottom of the Bagua map with the wall that contains the main entrance. Which one do you think makes more sense? The one on the right, right? Because you are dividing it in squares or rectangles, not unique pie shapes. But here's the most important difference. The Compass School is going to do a numerological calculation based on your year of birth and whether you are a male or a female. And they're going to do this mathematical calculation that's going to result in your 4 positive directions and your 4 negative directions. So example for a person whose number is 7, their positive directions would be vitality, life, good fortune, and longevity. And your 4 negative directions are going to be disaster, death, baleful influence, and 5 ghosts. Now, if somebody comes to your home and tells you, see, here's the master bedroom, right? So the master bedroom is in an area of disaster for you. What are you going to do? You're going to become afraid of your bedroom, right? You're going to start avoiding it. If somebody tells you that death is to the east of your home and that for your home happens to be your home office, what's going to happen to you? You're not going to be very productive. So they are dividing life in life is half negative and half positive. And what happens to people in the West is that people become obsessed with their negative directions. Does that make sense? I have met people who, after they got a Feng Shui consultation, they never went back in their bedroom because they were afraid to die. I met a lady in Nashville that the Feng Shui consultant had told her only this edge of the sofa was in a positive direction for her, and the rest of the sofa was in a negative direction for her. So she'd always be sitting here, crunching up, trying to make sure the side of her pants didn't touch the negative direction. So Compass School is a fear-based practice. What happens to people that practice Compass School is that they become afraid. But there's other problems. They recommend colors based on your year of birth. So for example, they tell you, according to your number, your earth, and so you need yellow. It doesn't matter, you could hate yellow. They're like, yellow is the best color for you. And if you have another number, they tell you, well, your color is black. You need to have a lot of black in your bedroom. Does that make sense? No, right? So, and then there's Black Hat School. Because in the beginning, my decision was, okay, should I do Compass School or should I do Black Hat School? And as I studied more, the obvious answer seemed to be Black Hat School because they have a much more sensible way to apply the Bagua map. But this is a religion. And I didn't feel like I should join a religion in order to practice Feng Shui. And I didn't want to learn with a master and then say, I'm going to do everything different and not honor the teacher. I didn't want to do that. But they also have a lot of issues with design. Their advice on color is already also bizarre. And some of the advice they gave on mirrors or where to put mirrors to improve the vitality of the home were in completely contradiction to architecture. So some of the advice they gave you, for example, they said, the staircase is a waterfall of chi being the life force. So if you have a staircase, at the bottom, on the wall at the bottom, you need to put up a mirror so that this energy that went down is forced to go up again. And I'm here to tell you, you could give yourself a heart attack. If it's nighttime and you're running down the stairs and you're going to think somebody's coming right at you from the other side. So some of the advice they gave just didn't make any sense, right? So then I came along, right? And I'm like, okay, what do I do? Who do I learn from? How can I learn this? And I wanted to learn and practice a type of Feng Shui. My choices were, right, learn and practice a type of Feng Shui that makes people afraid to live and doesn't create dream homes, or practice a type of Feng Shui that is associated to a particular religion and doesn't create dream homes. So neither of them created dream homes, and that was very important to me. So I thought maybe I'll just get certified with anybody and do my own thing, but that didn't feel right. So I started making charts. I like to make charts and flow charts for everything. And I classified the information into, one was the things that were just common sense, right? For example, you should have space on the two sides of a bed in a master bedroom so one person doesn't have to crawl over the other person. That's just common sense, right? And then I separated the things that needed to be sorted out and figure out to see if they worked out. So it was really interesting how this happened. I had a friend in Ecuador, and she was from Uruguay, and we had lost touch for about 3 years. And I suddenly felt, have you ever gotten this feeling that you have to connect with somebody again? And I tried to connect with her, but the phone area codes in the country had changed, so the phone number didn't work. So what I did is I just called a random number in Uruguay. And I told the lady, hey, I have a friend, and this used to be her phone number. What would be her phone number today? And she helped me. So I was able to call my friend. And during those 3 years we hadn't been in touch, she has studied Chinese medicine. And so she became my mentor. She taught me about the principles of Asian Chinese medicine, which are the same as the principles of acupuncture. Because I decided I needed to go back to the root of Feng Shui. I needed to go back to the source. And I decided to create my own school, and I called it the 9 Steps to Feng Shui system. And I put everything to the test. So fortunately, right, I knew a lot of people in Ecuador. I knew a lot of people in different states in the United States. I had a group of her contacts in Uruguay, and I had a group of followers in Australia. So I was like, okay, let's test this. Let's test this and see if it works for Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere, for Ecuador. And so we did that, and that's how the 9 Steps of Feng Shui was born. So who here, raise your hand if you feel like you already live in a dream home. So I see 2 hands up, right?
Not mine.
And so, yes, you can live in a dream home, and you should want to live in a dream home. Just wanting to live in a dream home is just a sign that you're a healthy person. It's not vanity, it's a necessity. The nesting instinct is the second strongest, only after reproduction. So the quickest, easiest, and best way for you to manifest your dream home is not to put a mansion in a vision board, but to work in the home where you live right now. And by the way, most mansions have really bad Feng Shui. The Feng Shui canon or standard of happiness is the smallish home full of people that you love, not a mansion full of staff that you have to pay. So it's just healthy to dream of living in a dream home. And sometimes I find a lot of people, they suppress that desire because they feel like it's frivolous. Have you ever felt like it's frivolous to want to have more beautiful things in your home? There's a lot of anxiety around that. Like instead of getting a new dining set, you should help the poor. You know, if you have grown up religious, you may have some feelings or emotions like that. But the more beautiful and functional and comfortable and welcome your home is, the better prepared you are to fulfill your life missions, the things that you came to do. So there are good reasons you don't love your home. If raise your hand if there's one thing that you don't love about your home. Could be the whole home, it could be just one thing, the way the door opens to a staircase, the basement. So raise your hand if there's one thing that you don't absolutely love about your home. The reason you don't love that is a Feng Shui reason. And I'm going to show you the reasons. So there's 3 types of Feng Shui home problems. That was one of the first things I did because of my background in architecture. Remember that book that I told you that I won as a door prize? This author had written 3 books with 101 things that you should do for Feng Shui of the home, of the yard, of your business. 303 things to do. Do you want to do 303 things? No, right? And so most of the books I found, most of the information I found was like, this is bad Feng Shui, that is bad Feng Shui, all of this is bad Feng Shui. And there was no hierarchy. And so the first thing I did is I separated the Feng Shui problems into 3 types of problems. Architectural problems are problems that come in your home because of the way the home was built. And they're going to be a problem for you or for any other person who lives in that home. So for example, if you open the door and the first thing you see is a staircase, that's going to be a problem for you or for any other person living in that home. Opening in the door to a staircase makes you feel tired for good reasons. Another thing would be if you live in an older home and there's an extra long and narrow hallway, that's a problem. Does anybody live in a home where you open the door and the first thing you see is a staircase? You do? Is it a staircase going up, going down, or a split foyer? Split foyer. So people who live in split foyers have problems with decisions because they have decision fatigue. Every time you come home, it's like, do I go up or do I go down? You can get decision fatigue. Making decisions consumes calories. And so have you ever been in a home that have a double height foyer? That you come in and it feels like a tower in a cathedral? Or have you ever gone in a home that has double or triple height ceilings? And those are touted as really good things in real estate, right? But people who live in those spaces don't use them because they have lost the human scale. Those are problems that have to do with the architecture. Then there's design problems. And interior design is about decisions that you have made that have to do with the finishings and the finishes of the home, right? So for example, are your walls finished with drywall or are they finished with wood film or wood panels, right? Or do they have not a British, a brick. I don't know how I went from brick to British. They have maybe brick, they have stone, right? And then what do you do with them? Like, do you paint over it or do you put some kind of varnish over it? So the finishes and the finishes. This includes the rods that you have for curtains, window treatments. It includes any mirrors that are fixed to the walls. And it also includes your art. Furniture problems have to do with furniture, furnishings, right? Like everything that's furnishes. So that would be furniture, decorations, accessories, and lights that are movable. So the lamp that is movable is a furniture problem. But a canned light that is installed in the ceiling is an interior design issue. Does that make more sense now? So the most important thing is to address the architectural problems first. The problems in Feng Shui, they have to do with the way that your home was designed, built, right? The design problems are finishes and finishes, and the furniture problems, those are the easiest to fix. So most people who do Feng Shui, there's some very popular Feng Shui consultant in TikTok, super, super famous, like 3 million followers. And all he does is furniture problems. Like he shows you a floor plan, and then he shows you how you could rearrange the furniture. The problem with that is that 2 months later, the person gets bored with that arrangement and they change things around. And so if you fix the architectural problems first with some degree of education so that the client doesn't do the hard work after, right? And then you follow with the design problems and then the furniture problems, you're going to be much better off. So there are 3 problems. Are you feeling okay? Should we have a break, maybe to go to the restroom or have a drink? No? Okay. So problem 1, the architecture, the way the home was built. We subdivide that into 3, right? So the first problem is if your floor plan is incomplete. People like squares and rectangles. If your home is an L shape or a C shape or a really irregular shape, you're never going to feel content in that home. And later on today, I'm going to tell you what that does to you as a person, as an individual, how it affects you. Is your home a square or a rectangle, or is your home an irregular shape? Raise your hand if your home is a square or a rectangle. Raise your hand if your home is an irregular shape. I guess yours? Okay. Then the second problem is excesses and deficiencies. You all have heard of the concept of yin and yang, right? So yang is warm, expansive, light, and dry. And yin is contractive, dark, humid, and cold. So those are the extremes. When you have excesses, anything that is too much, or deficiencies, anything that is too little in a home, you're not going to feel well. So for example, if you have a long and narrow hallway, you have an excess of length, and you have a deficiency of width. Have you noticed what pets and children do when confronted with a hallway that is not interesting? They run through it. Yeah. So does the chi, so does the life force. But if you put a mirror here, a piece of artwork here, you do a zigzag of things, people and pets don't rush through it. So it becomes a lot more balanced. Same thing if you have for example, if you have a basement, and you have a very low ceiling in the basement, you're going to feel oppressed. That is a deficiency of height, right? If you have a great room with a triple height ceiling, that is an excess of height and space, and sometimes of light, in those constructions where they do all windows on the one side. And then circulation problems. So in Feng Shui, you want to attract enough qi or life force to come into your home, and then you want it to circulate all over the home so all the home gets nourished with this positive energy. But when you have certain situations in the way you open doors, if you see the back door, that's an issue. If we open the door and you see a large back window, that's an issue. If you see a staircase, that's an issue. And also the way doors communicate with each other. Have you noticed in homes where you can see the back door from the front door, when you open and close the one door, the other one slams? Right? That shows you the chi is circulating too fast. And so when people, does anybody here have the situation where you open the door and you see the back window? You do? Do you feel like going out as soon as you come home? Or do you tend to spend a lot of time in the backyard? Thinking about it?
Well, my backyard is not conducive
Oh,
to
okay.
hanging out at. So.
All right. And so when you open the door, you should say something that welcomes you home and encourages you to stay home and do homey things. But when you see a back window or when you see a back door, especially if it's a glass door, you immediately think of being outside again. And so I have had numerous cases of clients that had beautiful yards and completely cluttered homes. Because as soon as they got home, they're like, oh, I should do some gardening, or I should go to the backyard to play with the kids. And they completely neglected the home. So the way that your doors that connect to the outside relate to each other, to large windows and staircases, determines how this life force travels through your home. Problem number 2, design, right? Finishes and finishes. Decisions you and others have made. So some of the things that you don't like about your home may be things other people decided to do. For example, you may feel oppressed in your home. You may feel like things are stagnant and they just don't move well. And it may be because all of the walls in your home are brown because it was built in the 70s and people were into wood paneling. And so your home may feel like a desert today because from the excess of an earth tone. And so there's three parts in each of these, right? So the first one is having a good relationship with nature. People in the United States are enemies of curtains or window treatments. Like a lot of people don't want to have any kind of curtain window treatment, especially if they have a beautiful view. But window treatments are about control. You can control how much sunshine comes in, how much light. You can control who gets to see what's happening inside, and you can control how much you see of what's happening outside. Have you ever met a person that was absolutely opposed to curtains or blinds? You haven't? You have? Yeah. And so during the day, say you have a beautiful view, right? Like you come home and you have these panoramic windows and a beautiful backyard with a beautiful view of the lake. And during the day, it's fabulous. What happens at night? You end up with these black rectangles. Would you go to an art gallery and say, find me 7 large pieces of black art? Because that's how I decorate my home. That's what you're doing when you don't have any kind of window treatments at home. Number 2 is the colors not being in harmony. Think about some place you went where the colors were just clashing. It could be your own home, it could be the home of your parents, of an aunt and uncle, some home you visited for a party. Can you all relate to a place maybe like that? Raise your hand if you are connecting with a memory of a place where the colors were clashing. What reaction did you have in your body?
You just don't feel comfortable.
You cringed a little, right?
Mhm.
Imagine if you have colors clashing in a certain room in your home. Every time you go into that room, you're going to cringe a little. And that's going to accumulate, and that's going to cause irritability, and irritability is going to cause arguments. And so the way to properly do colors in Feng Shui is to do colors by the 5 elements. The 5 elements being water, wood, fire, earth, and metal. Each of those is associated to a family of colors. And if you arrange your colors according to the 5 elements, there's always going to be harmony. Are you all good at visualizing here? Does anybody have trouble visualizing? I think you're all good at visualizing. Now imagine a white sofa with black cushions. You can close your eyes if you want. A white sofa with black cushions. How does that feel? Not exciting, but does it feel terrible?
No, not very good.
Doesn't it feel terrible? It feels like meh, right? Now imagine a black couch with white cushions. How does that feel? That feels terrible. You notice the difference? And it's because white is a metal color and black is a water color. You go deep in the water, it's all black. And so metal supports water, it holds water. But water, what does it do to metal? It corrodes it. And so when you see the colors combined in a certain way, with a certain proportion, when you have a lot of white with a little bit of black, that's fine. It's not exciting, but it's fine. When you see a lot of black with a little bit of white, that feels wrong. And that's just one example. You know, like 5 years ago, I had a class, and I'm going to have you go to that today, that I taught about 2 weeks ago. This is called the 4 current home design trends that may be wrecking your Feng Shui. So I'm going to recommend that you watch that. But 5 years ago, I did a similar class. And one of the things in that class was about the excess of white. Remember 5 years ago, everybody wanted white? Every single home was redone in white or light gray. If you wanted to buy a home, you couldn't see anything but that. Are you all getting cold? No? Okay. And that, what else was going on in the world at that time? COVID. And COVID is an illness that affects what organs? The lungs. And the lungs are part of the metal element. And losses, like losing a loved one, grief, is part of the metal element. And what is one of the things that you can do to alleviate grief, add white. So the whole world was compensating for the losses by adding white everywhere. But what happens when you use white everywhere? First, it's hard to clean, right?
Mhm.
But then it feels like clinical. And so now the pendulum has swung in the other direction. And now people want to do maximalism. They want to do really gaudy colors and wallpaper, right? The trends follow the pendulum swing. So let's go to photos, mirrors, and artwork tell their own stories is another problem, right? That is included in design finishes and finishes. So your mirrors give you feedback on how you look, but also on how you're doing. If you have a mirror that makes you look all broken up, do you think that's good feedback? So mosaic mirrors are really bad Feng Shui. Any mirror that distorts your image, do you want to look at yourself at home and think you're at a carnival in the hall of mirrors? No, right? And so all your mirrors need to be flat and reflect you correctly. Your artwork needs to tell you happy stories. Your walls tell stories, and these walls tell stories, right? Every piece of art, you have the principles of attitudinal healing over there, you have Native American image over here, nature images. All of these things are telling a story about what happens in this place. And the story needs to be coherent with what you want to have happen in that place. So if you put art at home that makes you scared, that's bad Feng Shui. If you put art at work that makes you feel lonely, it doesn't matter how good the art is, it's not going to be good for you. Wait. There you go. And so I can walk into anybody's home that has kids, and I can tell you who the favorite kid is within 5 minutes. And sometimes people tell me, nobody knows this, not even my husband. I never told a soul. But yes, my son is my favorite. You know? And that is because of how they did the photos. What kind of photograph is it? What kind of frame does it have? What is the size? Where did you put it? That is going to show who you favor. And so to have harmony and to avoid problems between siblings, you need to do family photos in a certain way. So I offer templates for family photos that not just help you feel equality among all the children and grandchildren, but also help you set good energetic boundaries with in-laws and exes. And problem 3 is about furnishings, furniture, accessories, decorations, and movable lights. So one problem is too much clutter, right? How would you define clutter?
Junk you don't need.
Junk you don't need. What else?
What? That doesn't have a home.
Stuff that doesn't have a home. What else? Maybe
Wherever
having too many things.
Wherever you walk, you have to hit something.
Yes, you can't even walk. You can't even walk through the home.
Yeah.
I define clutter as decisions delayed. Every single item that is cluttering your home is a thing that when you should have made a decision about that thing, you decided to instead leave it where it was, or just put it in the junk room, or just take it to the garage, because that's a default decision, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then you end up with hundreds or thousands of unmade decisions in the garage. And remember what I told you about decisions before? Decisions consume calories. So you say, this weekend I'm decluttering the garage, and after half an hour you have a headache or you get dizzy because you're consuming calories for having to make too many decisions. And so this is an interesting thing that I have found from over 25 years of working with clients. You can never eliminate clutter unless you add beauty. People do not organize ugly things. And what do we do, right? And I did this at some point. I made this mistake. You go to the Home Depot or to the Walmart or any store, and you go to the home organization place where they have these plastic tubs and these stacks of plastic drawers, and none of that is pretty. And we take that home, and we think that's going to help us organize. And what ends up happening is you put things in those tubs and drawers, and then when you take them out, you never put them back. People do not organize ugly things. But if you start adding beauty to your home, then you organize it. Lack of goals, right? People have to have goals. If you don't know where you want to get, you're going to be like a leaf in the wind. And so remember the life areas I showed you before? We put enhancements in each of those places in your home to make sure that your goals get realized in a way that is going to make you happy. Have you ever wanted something really, really bad and then when you got it, you were unhappy? Never? You are nodding. Can you share? Do you want to share? Rose?
Something that I don't want in the house. Yeah. Every time I go shopping, I buy stuff and I don't want it.
And so you go to the store and it looks really attractive in the store. You think it's going to improve your life. And then you get home, it's like, oh, why did I get this, right? And so in the Nice Touch Feng Shui system, we make sure that every purchase that you make for your home matters. And we make sure that you know you're going to like it before you get it. And then we have bath furniture placement. So in Feng Shui, you have something called the power position, which is whenever you're doing anything, you have the command of the room. So right now, I have the command of the room. You don't have the command of the room. You can see the front door, right? I can see the front door. If somebody was trying to get in, I'm the first one to see it. And so, but I'm not in the path of the door, right? Because if I was in the path of the door, I would be nervous. I would be anticipating that any moment somebody can come in and I'm right here. And so we use the power position to make sure that when you're sleeping, when you're working, when you're relaxing, you are in a position where you feel powerful. So furniture placement is about power. So the Nice Steps to Feng Shui system gives you solutions and we want you to make your home a dream home. Your home should look good, right? Because beauty and order and tidiness, it makes you feel good. And chaos, disorder, dirtiness makes you feel bad. So there's a Chinese saying that goes like this: all the things in your home are talking to you, make sure they have nice things to say. So the things in your home are telling you you're unorganized, you're a slob, you can't control things. You are yourself out of control. That's not good feedback. And it's cumulative. A home with good feng shui constantly telling you you're fantastic, you start believing it. But if your home is constantly telling you you are no good, you also start believing it, unfortunately. And so I have a friend in London who's an interior designer, and she likes to say this home wasn't built in a day, right? And so the programs that I offer, they're meant for you to make decisions slowly. Let me see where that is. I found this in the House Beautiful Facebook page. Slow decorating is the key to authentic interiors. And I was not familiar with this term until recently, slow decorating. But I saw that and I thought, that's what I do. I help people slow decorate. Because most of the time, if you hire a designer, an interior designer, they give you a budget and they put you on a schedule. And they're like, okay. Or if you ever bought a house that was being built, I remember the first house Marco and I bought, they told us, okay, there's going to be all these choices for the flooring and for the colors inside and out and the kitchen counters. You're going to be able to decide all that. We had to make that decision, all those decisions in 1 hour. They called us one day and they said, you have to come to the office right now. And they were like, what about this? What about that? What about that? And you're not even sure of anything, right? And here's another thing. Sometimes you have to wait until you make one decision to make another decision. Because you get a new rug and all of a sudden you're like, I need curtains in a different color, right? And so there's an order that makes sense to make decisions. So how much more time do we have?
As long as you want.
As long as I
just
want.
keep going.
Okay. Keep going?
Keep
Okay.
going.
So I'm going to go through these very, very quickly, but then I'm going to give you access to a longer version of this. This is actually a class that I teach. And it's a $99 class, and you're going to get it for free today. So you can go home, so you can do the exercises, so you can start seeing your home with Feng Shui eyes, and so you can start visualizing your dream home and visualizing the potential of the home you live in. So remember the architectural problems? And they each have 3, right? So the first thing you do is you complete the floor plan. If your floor plan is not a square or a rectangle, you do things to make it seem like it's complete. So I'm not saying you're all gonna have to get a contractor and add a room in that place where you're missing something. We're gonna do things inside the space. We're gonna use mirror and artwork so that it feels like the floor plan is complete. And here's the problem with some of you are thinking, my home is complete, I don't have an issue with that. If you have a bathroom in a corner or if you have a bathroom in the middle of the home, your home is practically incomplete because the bathroom is a negative area. So it renders your home incomplete. Then we back to streams, right? So remember we're talking about the long and narrow hallway? A lot of women in Ecuador and also here in the United States, I've seen it done. You're like, this hallway needs more light, right? So mirrors give you more light. And so they put a mirror at the end of the hallway. What does that do?
Makes it longer.
Makes it twice as long. And people who have done this, they have a feeling that everything takes longer than it should, and that everything is more difficult than it should. What would happen if you took that mirror and instead of putting it at the end of the hallway, you put it on the side of the hallway? What happens to the width of the hallway? It doubles, and that's a good thing, right? So it's the same mirror, it's just the position that makes the difference. So we balance extremes by using the principle of yin and yang. Something is too high, we make it feel like it's lower. Something is too low, we make it feel like it's taller. Then we achieve a healthy circulation. So chi follows attention. And this chi, this life force, is what gives you energy and vitality. Raise your hand if you've done Tai Chi or Qigong or yoga. So most of you. Raise your hand if you've done Qigong. Couple of you. Okay, so we're going to do an exercise. You can stay sitting if you want to, but don't cross your legs. But you can stand if you want to stand up. And we're going to do an exercise to feel chi. Okay, so you're going to rub your hands and then make like cups and clap, clap, clap. Do it again. Rub your hands. Cup, cup, cup. Rub your hands again. And now rub your fingernails. Are you feeling a little bit of warmth in your hands now? You're going to separate your hands slowly, but keep your fingers touching. Don't separate the fingers. And now you're going to play the accordion. You're going to inhale very slowly as you separate the hands. Now you're going to exhale slowly. You're going to inhale and exhale. Are you feeling that tingling in your hands?
Yeah.
Does it feel magnetic?
Mm-hmm.
Does it feel easier to separate your hands? But as you want to bring them closer, they want to go on their own. So you have to use a little bit of resistance so they don't go too fast. You feeling that?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think if you put your hands in front of another person, you could feel their energy? Right? So go like that. So you have felt chi, the life force in your body. It's a real thing. It's not an imagination. Now, all living beings have chi. And your chi charges all your possessions. Did you ever go into a home that had a kitchen dining area and a formal dining area? Did you feel that difference? That one feels lived in and happy and energized, and the other one feels abandoned, kind of ghostly sometimes because it's never used. And so we charge with our chi, we charge the home. Our pets, dogs, cats, they charge the home. Our plants, with less strength, with a different kind of energy, they also charge the home. And so we want to make sure that your home, there's enough chi collecting in the front of your home, and for that you have to have curb appeal. You want to make sure that when you open the door, the chi feels welcome to come in, and that it travels and goes into every room in the home, and that it goes in a meandering way, doesn't go too fast. And if you have that, you're going to have more vitality. You're not going to feel so tired. So steps number 4, 5, and 6, solving interior design problems, right? So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to tune into nature. And that is you're going to get more attuned to natural energy, and you're going to have control of natural energy by seeing what happens with your clocks, your calendars, and your window treatments. Having clocks that don't show the right time, very bad feng shui. Having calendars,
But no clocks at all.
that's fine because not everybody has
Yeah.
the time in their phone, right? But if you have a clock that has stopped, that's an issue. Because you can trust the clock. If the clock has stopped, every time you look at it, you have to remind yourself, can't trust that. It's not showing the right time, right? Except twice a day, right? And so then step 5 is to harmonize color, shapes, and materials. And we do this by the 5 elements. We make sure that all your colors are working well with each other. And sometimes you have to start with something. Like, for example, if you're going to do feng shui in this space, in the Oasis, you're already working with something that is here that will be expensive to change. What is that? The carpet. You have a green carpet, and carpet is wood element or forest element, and it has a certain effect in people, right? And so what would be easier to change is it's easier to change the colors of the walls. But what's even easier to change is to add accents in decorations, right? So you go from most expensive to least expensive. You first change the least expensive things until you create harmony. So I use the principle of very little, which means I always aim to have the client spend as little as possible and have to do the least work possible to achieve the effects they want. And then using the right language, right? So we want to make sure your art is uplifting you. We want to make sure that your photos, family photos, are not creating conflict. And you got to make sure that your mirrors are reflecting what they need to reflect. And so, for example, you shouldn't have mirrors in places where they're going to scare you. You shouldn't have mirrors in places where they're duplicating an eyesore. It's enough to have one, you shouldn't duplicate it. You want to place mirrors that reflect the world correctly in places where they're going to duplicate beautiful things. So if you invest in a piece of artwork and you place it near to a mirror, now you have 2 pieces of beautiful artwork, right? So you have to use mirrors positively. And you want your home to tell true stories. You want to tell the stories of what your life is like today and what you want it to be. One time I went to see a client, and she had told me she had a baby and she was not married, but her boyfriend lived with her. So I come in through her foyer and I see a photo of her hugging this guy at the top of a mountain. And I'm like, oh, this is your boyfriend? And she says, no, that's my best friend. You see a problem here? Her home was not telling the right story. Her home was telling a story that she had a more important relationship with her best friend than with her boyfriend. Can you have a photo of a trip you took mountain climbing with a friend? Yes. Not in the foyer. You can put it on the refrigerator. You can make it part of the collage of fun things, but you have to tell true stories. And steps number 7, 8, and 9, right? Solving furniture and accessory problems. So first, you're going to declutter and organize. But my approach is different, first of all, because we're going to teach you how to make decisions. Until you learn how to make decisions easily, you're not going to declutter. Then you have to learn to make decisions by category of items. Categories. So you don't make a decision. Like, imagine going into a garage that has been turned into a junk room 10 years ago, and you can start lifting every screw, trying to decide that this spark joy, right? And so the Marie Kondo method, you're all familiar with Marie Kondo, I imagine. And her method was, just grab items one by one and you ask, does this spark joy? The answer is yes, you keep it. And the answer is no, you discard it. And the problem with that, right, is the hammer is not going to give me joy, but I still need to have a hammer at home. So one of the most important things to know about decluttering and organizing is the hardest part of decluttering is not to decide whether you should keep something or not. The hardest part of decluttering is deciding what's going to happen to that object after it leaves your house. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to do it. We're going to help you organize by adding beauty. Step 8, set clear goals. There are 9 special spots in your home we showed you with the Bawa map. So we're going to put reminders on those spots of what's important to you. Like, what kind of relationship do you want to have? How strong do you want your health to be? How do you want to grow your wealth? Do you want to become better at studying? Do you want to sleep better? So there's spots in the home where we put certain kinds of decorations, lights, enhancements to help you achieve your goals. And number 9, I arrange furniture to promote empowerment. We have special checklists to make sure that every room in your home has everything it needs to have for you to be happy and comfortable, and for the home to fulfill the functions that it needs to have. And we also make sure that the furniture is placed in a way that makes you more powerful and not less powerful. How are you all feeling? You ready to see some before and after photos? I think that's the most fun. Okay, so I have 2 ways. There's 2 ways people can work with me. One is a group program, and the other one is one-on-one with me. So I'm just going to show you 2 case histories. One is going to be of my group program, which is done online. Even if you're in Knoxville, it's still done online. And so people get access to a huge library of videos on Feng Shui and home decor. And I do home clearings once a week, like I did a clearing for you today. And people can post photos and videos to get my feedback. And they also get a half an hour consultation with me every month done via Zoom. And it's a very low price compared to everything that you get. So I'm going to show you. This is a person that stayed in my program 8 months. She's in Iowa. So you can see the before and afters. So this is from getting feedback with me once a week, being able to ask questions and get them answered. And so it wasn't a very old house. I think the house is almost 100 years old. And so she wanted to remodel it. She had been in the house for about 8 years, and she wanted to remodel it without losing the feeling of it being a great place. Let me see if I can do something here. Yeah. So what she did in the facade, right? So one of the things that was happening here, and I don't know if you can tell here, she has a door and a storm door. So whenever she opened the storm door, she had to step back. She had to go down 1 step to open the storm door. She lives in Iowa where there's a lot of snow and ice, so that was dangerous. So one of the first things she did is she made this wider and also deeper, and she replaced the steps. Also, she had a pavement. It was a driveway that had been made with cement, and it looked like it was stone because it was cracked all over. So she replaced that with pavers. There's a huge difference, right? Take a look at this. This is one of my favorite before and afters because how little was done. Notice the lights here are bringing the energy down. And see what happens just by getting lights that point the light upwards instead of downwards. Her mirror, remember how mirrors should give you good feedback? She had mosaic in the frame of the mirror. So she covered up this with decorative tape. She put some candles over there. And look at the difference. Can you tell the difference?
Mm-hmm. Did she paint the walls too or no?
No. It's
No,
just, she
just
probably
the light.
took the light, in different time of the
So
day.
warmer.
She didn't have to spend hardly any money for this. She did change the light fixtures. She actually didn't change the light fixtures. She just turned them and changed the lampshades. Look at the kitchen. So one of the concerns was she wanted a more modern kitchen, but she wanted to not have it too modern and not go well with the house, right? So she changed the floors to wood floors. She changed the cabinets to more modern cabinets. She added some open shelves. I had recommended against white, but she was said that, remember, it was COVID, so she wanted white. And so I recommended that she break up the white with all this color over here. It looks fantastic. This is the sunroom for the cats. Just moving around some furniture, adding a rug. Her home was completely transformed with minimal investment. So the money she ended up spending was a lot less than she thought she would have to spend. Plus, she knew she would love it before she did anything. This is another case history. This is a woman. She's in Canada, and she worked with me in one-on-one work. So this took longer, right? It was longer. It was more profound work. Oh, let me share something else with you. Before she started working with me, one of her bigger problems was she was eating too much junk food. She was eating at all hours. She wasn't eating good foods, and she hated cooking. And she wanted to become better at it. When she was done with the remodel, she had learned to cook really well. So well that for the first time she felt good inviting people over to eat at her house. And she started eating a lot healthier. So this gal in Canada. See what a difference it makes just to change the planters and the color of the door. Very little investment.
And a doormat.
Yeah.
Oh, I can see.
A wider doormat. So one of the things I teach is your welcome rug should be at least the width of the door or a little wider. It feels a lot more welcoming when it's a little wider. This is her living room. When I finish working with a client, I put together the first photos they sent me with the last photos they sent me for the before and after. She cried when she saw this. And she told me, I had forgotten how much I didn't like my living room. I had forgotten how unhappy I was.
It's so dark.
It is so dark and there's no interest, right? And so choosing the rug, choosing the cushions, choosing the piece of artwork, the lights. When she was done with this, she felt so comfortable. She had lived 15 years in this house. She never felt good about inviting people over.
Well, sure, it looks like a cave.
Yeah, and so after she did this, after she refreshed her home with Feng Shui, she had a pre-prom party for her daughter's friends at her house. She was so proud. And all the teenage girls were complimenting her on how much they loved her home. By the time we were done, friends and family were asking her to help with their home decor. Look at this dining room. Very little has changed. A plant in one corner, a little table with some decoration in the other corner, a more generous tablecloth, different placemat, art. And this is the family room in the basement. They are in Canada, right? So where you see here the window, that's the ground. And all she did was reposition some of the furniture and paint one wall. The paint cost less than $25, and she did it herself. Huge difference, right? And so I don't want to make you tired. I was going to tell you a story, but I'm not going to tell you this story. You are going to see the story in the course I'm going to give you. So the 9 steps to Feng Shui, right? Step 1 is to complete the floor plan. Step 2 is to balance the home with yin and yang. Step 3 is to have a healthy circulation of qi. Step 4 is to tune into nature. 5, harmonize color, shapes, and materials. 6, use the right language so you can tell the right stories. Declutter and simplify. 7, 8, enhance the 9 life areas to set the right goals and use the power position. This is what the 9 steps to Feng Shui helps you do. If you don't have good Feng Shui at home, you are living your life like a leaf in the wind. So here's what happens. Remember I told you before that I will show you how all of these things hurt you? If your home is not complete, you live a life of excuses instead of living a life of strategy. You're always saying, oh, it's because of this, it's because of that, but you know that's not really the truth. Lack and excesses create drama. So you're always pulled into drama of other people, or you create your own internal drama. If your chi circulation is not good, you feel fatigued. If you don't have a good relationship with nature, you are unlucky, always a day late and a dollar short. If you don't have harmony of color, shapes, and materials, you're going to be more irritable and you're going to have more arguments. If you don't have the right stories on your art and mirrors and photographs, you're going to self-sabotage. If you if you clutter, you're going to feel stagnant. You're going to feel like you're not moving anywhere. And if you don't have clear goals, your life is going to feel purposeless and you're going to have wasted potential if your furniture is not in the power position. or if you lack furniture. So when you live intentionally through Feng Shui, you make plans instead of making excuses. You live a balanced life. You have more energy and vitality. You take advantage of opportunities because you're at the right place at the right time. You get along with others better. You end self-sabotage. You are organized. You go through life with your home as a support system instead of it feeling like a drain, something that you constantly have to care for, and you feel empowered. So one of the basic tenets of Feng Shui is that you came to life with missions. And these missions include the things that you wanted to be, do, learn, experience for yourself. And then the things you were asked to be and do for others. And the help that heaven promised and provides along the way. That's what your life missions are made of. This is not the first time you heard about life missions, right? There's many other schools that teach about life missions. But the way we know it's true in ancient East Asian medicine is that there's actually a syndrome, a set of illnesses that happens to a person when they're not fulfilling their life missions. And acupuncturists have protocols to treat a person when they have separated from their life mission. When it's in the body, you know it's true. It's not a theory, right? So I'm gonna read these, and I want you to tell me which one resonates with you the most. When you think about being in life, like the things that you want to happen before you say goodbye to this lifetime. Learn what you came to learn, do what you came to do, say what you came to say, connect with whom you are meant to connect, or experience what you came to experience. Which one feels more closer to your heart?
Experience.
Experience what you came to experience? Okay. Connect? What else? Who else wants to share?
Experience.
Experience? Okay.
Do what you came to do.
Okay.
Experience what you come to experience.
Okay. If you chose experience what you came to experience, you have a metal type of personality. Because each of the 5 elements comes with, remember how it comes with colors? It also comes with a personality. If you chose connect with whom you are meant to connect, you have an earth type of personality. If you said do what you came to do, you have a wood type of personality. And if you said learn what you came to learn, you have a water type of personality. And nobody say this, but this is fire. Fire is about speech. I'm fire. And so when I work with people, I help you identify your personality type, and I help you accomplish things according to your personality type, because people are not motivated by the same things, right? And so knowing what makes you tick can make a huge difference in your life. So we want you to turn your home into a dream home where you and your family can be happy. And here's where I'm going to give you a gift. Take out your phone and point your camera to the QR code that you see there. If you want it. Well, and when you see that yellow, or my phone is yellow, when you see the link, click on the link. Yeah, you may need to get closer. So you click on the link, and that's going to take you to my website, my school, my Feng Shui school. And the coupon code is already applied, so you can get this $99 course for free. You need to get closer?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
My phone doesn't do that.
I'll send you the link. I should have asked everybody if everybody had a smartphone. Huh?
3 types of Feng Shui problem.
So there's a little video at the top, but if you scroll down, you're going to see that a coupon has been applied, so you can get the class for free. So you can go ahead and sign up. You don't have to give your credit card information or anything. Bring it closer. I think it has to be there.
You got a shadow on it.
Yeah, but it's fine anyway. So it says get it for free. So tap on that, enter your information. So you got a home clearing that I charge $99 to do that, and you got a free course that is $99. Or you will get it. So the coupon code I put on there only lasts for 2 days, so you need to make sure that you sign up before 2 days have passed. And so when I work with people, I make sure that you have no stress because you only do one thing at a time. No overwhelm, and that you don't make any mistakes because I'm always checking what you're doing. And so I'm going to tell you the story of 2 clients that have worked with me and how they have a different attitude, right? So I charge a set fee when people work with me one-on-one. And one of these clients, my fee was less than 2% of the whole cost of her project. And my other client, my fee was 30% of the overall cost of her project. So the person who was the 2%, after the first month, she came to me and told me, "You're charging too much. I'm going to pay you 1/4 of what you charge." And I told her, if you ask nicely, I might give you a discount, but it's not going to be a 75% off discount. So she quit working with me, and she made mistakes. And so then I asked my other client, I told her what happened, and I asked her, and she told me, a friend of mine, she asked me that, when you have so much money to complete this remodel, why are you spending 30% on a Feng Shui consultant? And her answer was, because I cannot afford to make mistakes. I gotta make sure that I choose the right floor, that I choose the right cabinets, that I choose the right colors. And I know with Moni, all my decisions, all my choices are gonna be correct. So there's different ways that we look at money, there's different ways we look at investments, right? And so everybody that has a smartphone, did you sign up for the class? You did?
Yes.
So when you go to the class, there's a series of lessons. There's a PDF file under each video for you to download or just use as a reference so that you can take notes and think about your home.